Man, I so okay. Okay. So, let's get started. Let's get this party started. Walk like a man, talk like a man, like a man myself. Okay. Boop boop. Six. Just doing that instead of doing the date and time. Every time I do the date and time thing, it just takes more tokens, and I kind of don't need to do that. It looks like this. It looks like the context window is really getting kind of chunky now. It's taking a while to respond, which is kind of interesting because when it compact, you'd think that well, once it got back down to a certain amount of tokens, right? Um, let's see how long it takes. Maybe it's just because it's toward the 500K mark. Um, when you're compressed, um, let's see, how many times can you run compress? Usually, don't run. Wait now, please. I suppose there should be some docs I could look at, but no document. No documented hard cap on how many times you can run compact or auto compact in a session. Oh, compact. Optional note about what to keep auto compact. In practice, you can compact as often as you need. Each run trades detail for free space. Alternatives become shorter. Summary. Do it many times, the summary gets thinner. More we decided X without the path. There's no third compact fails rule. Limit is how much fidelity you're willing to lose, not a fixed amount. Um, are there things Like if I prepared my own summary, entered it in, that you could keep intact even when compact is run. Probably not, but not that it can be a feature that could be in. Yes, compaction mainly shrinks the chat transcript. Things that live outside the chat or are re-injected on purpose can stay usable. What tends to survive, so let's come back. Remember facts you or I saved to disk. Still there, searchable, re-injected when relevant, including after auto compact. Flush session summary written to memory for compact. Captures decisions patterns so they aren't only in dead turns. Compact keep. Note guiding what the summary should retain. Not a guarantee every word stays, but steers the compact summary. Files of the product. Dump notes. Narrative pages untouched by compact. Best keep intact. That's right. Put it in a file. Optionally flush before a big compact. Or remember the critical bullets, canon decisions, timelines. Still read the file or search memory. I won't magically have the entire old thread. Let's see. Would it be possible for you to save the entire transcript to a file? If not from the beginning, but even maybe just in the current session. I'm not asking you to do anything. I'm just asking what you can do. Because I almost should have done that. I almost should have done that from the beginning, in a sense. Should have done that with every conversation I had with every AI, and I could have put them in files. And so whenever I needed to, let's say, you know, start from where I started from, I would have had all those in there, not just whatever's in the dump file. I would have had my full way of working, basically. Yeah, some important limits on what I can see versus what's already on disk. Full conversation. Current session is already being written as you go. You can copy export those files yourself anytime. What I can do, if you ask me to, write a summary of what I still have in context to a project file. Rebuild a readable transcript from the session JSON. L, if I can read the session path, often yes for the current session. Reconstruct this whole multi-week thread from the very first day. Only what's in the sessions files. Any prior sessions you point me at. Compacted bits may only exist as summaries. Dump the full transcript purely from my live context window. No, context is truncated. I don't hold every past message at once. Already on disk is JSON L. Best entire session source. Nice markdown for you. Another, I can generate that from the session files or from the summary you care about, not from perfect infinite memory. There are many compacts, stitch multiple session directories, or keep your own dump notes. Remember flush. Okay. Written on this, then I could still get you to take those files and write them out as a readable transcript, though, right? In another file as a readable transcript, though, right? Yes. If you point me to the session, or I find the current one under, I can read updates, chat history, and write a readable transcript. Sessions files, best source for everything said here. Huge logs may need a long run or a trimmed export. Skip raw tool dumps. After compact, older material may already be summarized in the log, not full original wording. But I still have to manually find out where the session files are sitting, right? Huh. Now if you ask me to do the export, I can locate the session by project path, newest folder, write the transcript. You only need to say something like export the session to a readable file. You can dig them up for yourself. Okay. And what do you consider this session? I'm assuming it's essentially the whole chat, because whenever I say this session, I simply mean when I fire up rock build and when I close the terminal window or type quit. Whole chat, because there's the session ID I'm reopening each time I click on the icon launcher I made. But whenever I say this session, I simply mean when I fire up Grok build and when I close the terminal window, type quit. Usually twice every weekday, depending on some factors. I'm just trying to figure out some things here about the about Grok build, basically, because I almost kind of want to start saving all the transcripts too. Sessions 1, persistent conversation on disk, one session ID under sessions. Includes the whole history for that ID, your messages, my replies, tools, compacts, etc. If your launcher reopens the same session, resume the same ID, then Monday open quit. Open still right, one grok session. Okay, yeah. If you use /new, pick a different resume entry or start a fresh session. Those are separate session folders. But your work block, start grok, quit close terminal. That's um that's a sitting or work session. Grok doesn't automatically split the transcript or quit if you resume. Okay, that's fine. I usually mean okay, conversation thread. Yeah. Grok the session. What today's part filter by timestamps in the JSON-L or cut at Friday, August. Okay. Right. I was just confirming. And also confirming to you whenever I generally mention session what I'm talking about. Usually if I'm talking about the chat session, resume ID. When you say session, you mean work sitting, open grok build work. Okay. Right now it's a bit too late to do it, but maybe subsequent phases. I would have you save out the conversation. You save out the to another file. At, and then start a fresh grok session e/new using new. Let's do it like this. /new. Let's simply refer to the previous conversation file. This is all the work for later phases. Pattern: export this long chat to a readable file or short canon notes extract. Asking for a clean grok session, point me at that file and the dump narrative pages when you need history. Fresh context window, less compact mush. You control what counts as previous conversation. Tip: when you do it, a tight summary plus pointers, max timeline. Often works better than dumping the entire raw transcript every time, but you can keep the full export as archive and feed me slices as needed. Oh, also, uh, with what you just suggested, something occurred, probably two C's, occurred to me. That is, um, okay, based on what you just said, let me see if I understand it and this correctly. I have you save out the current conversation to another file. Then I have you generate another file, which is a summary plus pointers to the full transcript. Is that what you are suggesting? Yes, that's the idea. Archive the long chat, readable export from session log, short, start here for a new session, decisions, timelines, open work, and where to read more in the full transcript. You open a new Grok session, hand me the summary first. I open only the full transcript or parts of it when something specific is needed. You could do one file with both sections, but two files is cleaner. Okay, I'm considering it. Almost time for automatic compacting. No, no. 5% would be like 425K of 500K. Yes. Session context window is 500K tokens and 85% equals 425K. Fire within the default. Might not be 500K docs, use smaller values. Context or session percent tools of that window, not a universal Grok number. Auto compact to 85% doesn't mean you must wait. You can compact early if you want. Okay. Let me think for a second. Is it possible to shut off auto compacting? I'm just getting some ideas about the limits of this. Because honestly, I should have been recording. I should have been copying down every single like chat I've had with all the deals, and should have just added them into it like a long, like several chat file thing, so that I would never have to work from scratch, the whole time. And this is perfect here. Projects almost does a kind of the same thing, but you have to upload sources. It can't directly use them on disk. That's actually something that notebooks should be doing. Should do at some point. It should have a thing where it will read. It will allow you, if you give it permission, it will read from disk and only from a certain like section that you allow it to do. You know, I mean, still have some reasonable like security things, but it'd be pretty handy. I'd probably be using even that all the time, half the time, probably. It's kind of weird that Control X is shortcuts because Control X traditionally, at least in just MS DOS, was for closing something. And honestly, they almost should have kept it. Although this is Linux, so Linux might never have used Control X, but Control X is kind of just a convention for apps. It's not something that was built into MS DOS. So Linux programs might use Control X too, you know. But that's whatever it is. Control when auto come back fire to change the percentage. I wouldn't assume 0 disables might compact immediately or be ignored. Okay. Also, another. Okay, I'll look at that. In the settings model. I'll do that later. So another question. Could I get you to warn me when the current context window is at a certain number and maybe sort of pause the conversation until I deal with it, either compacting it or starting a new conversation. Let's see what it says. Should be working on the game, of course, but you know me. I guess you can kind of learn how to use Grok Build by watching me screw around in here, at any rate. So there's a little bit of benefit in that. Partly yes on warning, no hard freeze on chat for me alone. What I can do. Warn a threshold, only if I know that usage that turn, I don't get alive, you're at 72% meter unless you run slash context or slash session info. I can read something that reports it. Okay, that's alright. Soft pause. You put it in standing instructions, EE, agents. Context is high, stop period work, warn me, wait for a compact or slash new. I'll try to stop and ask, but I can miss it if I never see an exact percent. Hard pause until you act. The product doesn't give me a lock that blocks your next prompt. Only you or a hook can enforce that. Better product side options. You can check slash contact when the bar feels long. Raise auto compact threshold percent so auto doesn't surprise you. You can decide when to compact or slash new. Pre-compact. It fires when compact is about to run. A hook can notify you. That's closer to an automatic warning at compact time, not exactly 350k. Standing rule for me, every end turns remind me to run contacts before big multi-file work. Asks me to check context. Soft, not precise. You or a future hook script use slash context. or pause until I deal with it, treat it as a social contract. I won't continue the main task until you say proceed. Plus optional pre-compact alert, not a true freeze. Maybe living at 80% forever. Well, we know the context side, but I can't reliably place an exact token number every turn. Hmm. Oh, that's weird. That's weird. You would think they'd build you so you can monitor all of this, including, like I said the other day, date and time. Should always be tracking session stats. And I wonder why they didn't do that. Because it kind of means I have to be manual, which is fine. I can do that, but um, it's a little extra work, and I have to make sure that I'm on top of it, or else it might it might compact when I don't want it to. It's a fair expectation from your side of the keyboard. From a product engineering angle, there are usual reasons systems like this don't beat the model of live dashboard every turn, even when the host already knows a lot of it. The host often knows more than I do. Session size, token estimates, compact thresholds, wall clock, time, those usually live in the TUI runtime. I only see what gets put into the prompt each turn. If date, context, and turn count aren't injected every time, I won't fill them. That's why date and context work. They force that data into the conversation. So it's less Grok can't know and more they chose not to spend the context and attention on continuous telemetry in the model's input. Um, Tokens cost of money. I mean I totally get that that's what that is, but at the same time, it should be a free token thing. In other words, it shouldn't be part of the tokenage in the sense that it should be somehow the tracking should be kind of built into the system. I don't know how to say it correctly, but noise signal. I just get system prompts. You can ask when needed. Auto compact as the backstop. Product split. None of that means your idea is bad. A status line EC plus optional context at 80% pause is great UX. Putting the same stream in the model is different. Always visible context and time in the TUI for you. Optional inject into the agent. Using this as a long-running creative co-author across days. The default design assumes shorter tasks and check tools when needed. For Enchanted style marathons, continuous session awareness would help a lot, and the gap product priorities more than impossibility. They can monitor it in the app. They usually don't mirror it to me continuously. I I think that it shouldn't, for instance, cost tokens uh, for you to check the date and time and things like context window usage. I mean, it should somehow be built into the system like a real-time clock and whatever. Real-time clock and real-time counters that aren't technically part of the data stream. Basically, not part of the prompt or act like part of it. It's kind of goofy that the way that it works. I'm just saying they build it. Okay, so they have a model. I get it. They have a training data, and then you feed stuff into it, and then it processes it, right? And if you want it to keep track of the time, the date, and all that stuff, you have to give it the date and the time, right? Even if it's them ask running a command, or it's you just telling them, it's the same thing to it. But it shouldn't be part of the system, part of the way it runs, part of the inference thing. Shouldn't be having to do with tokens. In other words, it shouldn't be injecting the stats into the stream. It should just be part of the way the system works. I mean, not that not that it's a trivial to implement. It might be really complicated, but you're describing real architectural split, and the idea is sound. Two different channels. Modal prompt, everything the LM must read to answer your words, files, tools, instructions, host, UI state, not tokens. Clock, context, percent, turn count, session ID for you and for policy. A wall clock and a context meter don't need to be thoughts. The model rereads every turn for you to see them. The TUI can show real-time stats with zero model tokens. Yeah, I mean, it's showing me. It's like it's showing it to me, but it should be made aware to the thing that's processing the model. It essentially, if you're looking at it right, it's like a program. It's like the old like what was it? Was it Lisa? Or yeah, it was Lisa, right? Because based on the Lisa computer, Macintosh, it was Lisa, where you could talk to it and it would give you like answers, like a therapy session. There was for Sound Blaster, there was Dr. Sabetsa, which is basically the same kind of thing. You ask it questions and stuff, and it will answer you, or you get it to say something, and it says it through a synthesized voice. But it's the same. What was I saying? Um, oh, I forget what I was saying now. Uh, all clock concepts don't need to be thoughts. Work cost tokens. Anyways, it's like a program, right? It runs a program. So like you type in your thing, sends it to the server. The server runs a program, right? It's running an app or whatever you want to call it. It's running a sequence of instructions telling it, okay, I want you to go in and do all of this model stuff, right? Instead, the UI always shows date. Why it still often ends up in the prompt or not at all. I'll give you what's in the prompt. There's no secret side channel into the weights for you. Host can be pure real-time dashboard free for me to act on it. Uh, always on Chrome timed threshold events policy without the model. Toggle for people who want the model to self-manage. Right, the date and time content shouldn't cost tokens just to exist. They should be host state UI tokens. Yeah. Okay. So I only have a limited knowledge about how LLMs work in general, but I do know coding and I know how programs work in general. Um, I remember there was, oh, Lisa, here. Um, see, after, so, after space, so, Acronym: Some lesser acting intelligent text-to-speech operator. The program converses with the user as if it were a psychologist. Why do you feel that way? That's not my problem. Yeah, yeah, that's fine because it was fairly limited. Oh, Eliza. Maybe it's Eliza. That's right. Eliza. Eliza, early natural language processing computer program developed 1964 to 67, created to explore communication. Well, of course, there was a version of Eliza for the Macs at school, so maybe that's what I'm remembering. But it gave no response that could consider really understanding. That's fine. The first chatbots are originally chatterbots, and one of the first programs capable of attempting the Turing test. Attend the method to explore the communication was surprised that some people, including his secretary, attributed human-like feelings to the computer program. Yeah, 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 yeah. Overview, time implementation. I don't really care about design implementation. Spontan legacy. Historical, blah, blah, blah. Doctor in computational therapy. Many systems was Eliza chatbot related to? I don't think I think I used to run it on the Macintosh computers at school. At the time I was in high school, there were Mac classics. When was the Mac classic introduced? Because it's the Macintosh is like in the mid '80s, and the classic. See the right. Yeah, Macintosh Classic, 1990. Okay. Uh, 1990s. Um, yeah. It's not new, but it's new, basically. It's like they re-released. I think the Mac Classic probably somehow got the cost down. Macintosh Classic. Likely Tom Bender's adaptation. Um, I was. Let's see. It would have been 90. Wait, it would have been the summer of 1990. So I would have went into high school in 90. So it would be the 90 to 91 season. then the 91 to 92, 92 to 93, 93 to 94. I graduated in 94, so that summer. So yeah, they must have just got him. They must have just got him new. But it could be, yeah, stupid Mac tricks. I kind of remember that a little bit. Um, okay. Um, Eliza, living at classics at school, or or okay, so from creative labs that came with sound blaster cards, which were essentially the original chatbots, although they couldn't do anything like even other modern LMs can do. But essentially, it's a program where I type in text, like the prompt, and then the program processes the text. Now, in order to be able to answer someone, even on those primitive programs, it would have to process it like you would, like the actual server would. The program should be able to send that info IC UI clock context to whatever program is running on the server. That's not actually part of the not part of the processing of the words. If I'm making sense, I'm just saying that wouldn't have been part of the processing of the input, but it would be able, but you would have access to that data as part of, but would have access to that data. So maybe the act of warning me and then putting a hold on the conversation and whatever, saving files or whatever, would contribute to the tokens, to the context percentage, but not the real-time data statistics. In other words, I'm trying to say that there's not a weird thing where it has to inject it into the LLM, What I'm saying is, whatever program they're using the processing, what they do is it takes the words, then it breaks it up, it tokenizes them, right? Um, but the tokenizer is going to have some like preprocessor rules or whatever. It's going to have some things that tell it how to organize how to tokenize it, basically, right? What to count as a token and stuff like that. Now the processor could take the real time data into account. That doesn't mean it injects it into. It has nothing to do with the processing of the prompt. All it has to do with is being able to determine. Okay, so when I started tokenizing this stream, it was this particular time. It took 1 second, or it took 500 milliseconds, or whatever short time it takes to tokenize that string. It should be able to precisely tell you how long it took to do that. And so by the time it returns the answer to you, it should say, well, it took me. I mean, it actually kind of does. I mean, it has the thing where it tells you how many minutes it took or how many seconds it took to process. You know, I'm just saying it shouldn't have anything to do with uh, be for even for it to have access to it, so that like if I'm when I'm it's like when I come back the next day, um, if it had a real time clock in it every time, and I say I'm back, and it says welcome back. You were gone for X amount of days, blah blah blah, and it would automatically do it. Why? Because it automatically had access to that information. Now, to actually do some of that, it might use that token up to do that, but not inputting the data. The data sticks. It should be something that you can use. That's all I'm saying. Programs client TUI Grok build. Yep. Model runtime server complete this prompt neural net tokens input. Uh, One local program rules plus variables. It can have a current time if tokens no context window in the LLM sense. Side data is just RAM. Modern setup host program normal software can no clock. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Not a general program with free RAM. For each answer, it almost only sees what's in the prompt. Yes, I get that. No hidden session stats. When you describe as a side channel. Send clock context to the server, not as part of the processing the words. Host policy. Yes, the client can tell the server session manager context is 82%, and the orchestration layer can show a banner refuse to start, another agent run auto flush, prompt you to compact/new. None of that needs to be understood by the neural net. It doesn't need to bloat the literary chat history. That's what I'm trying to say, yes. So Grok warns me in character if something has to put a fact where the model can use it. A tiny system line. When it's crossing a threshold or a tool, yeah, that does use some tokens, but only when you inject it, not every tick of the real-time clock. Why it isn't free inside the LM. The model doesn't run a continuous loop. Each reply is roughly build prompt from model stream tokens stop. If clock percent never entered that prompt or tool, the model cannot base a warning on them. It isn't withholding. The client can still show the clock in the bar for free. Almost exactly right. Warning me holding the conversation, saving files might add context percent. Real-time stats shouldn't. Okay. Yeah. So real-time telemetry, host state, talking, acting on it as yes. You're thinking like systems programmer, and that's the right model for the app. Eliza could just know the clock because it was the whole program. I'm only the text engine inside a larger program. That larger program should track stats. That's what I'm saying. In real time without stuffing them into every prompt. It can pause and save without me. It only needs to tell me when you want my reply to depend on those numbers. That's where you design stats, not in the word stream. Pause, save on the outside is exactly how a polished agent host ought to work, even if today's product still leaves more of that to slash context and auto compact. Yes, exactly. I mean, I'm sure that data that's sent to the server is more than just my prompt. It's probably got its own telemetry it has to send. So, if I tell you to run /date I tell you to run /date, what if I can, here, tell you to run /date, then it's sending data to the processor, the LLM. Then it's sending a command back, grabbing the date and time from my system, and then it displays it, and that takes tokens. If you had a real-time clock, that wouldn't matter because it wouldn't inject it. So whenever I exited the terminal, the clock would still be running, and then when I came back the next day, he'd be like, welcome, Keith. I hope you had a good sleep, or something. I'm not saying I want you to say that to me, but you could respond because you would know automatically. It would probably be a two-way too. In other words, it sends the date and time. It tracks date and time in real time. And then if I asked for the date and time, you would send a command, the build app would, to retrieve it, and then you would present it as you were saying without having used any tokens. I know I should be working on the game. I go off on a thing, and this is the thing that I do. Hey Rook, sorry I'm not working. I haven't been working on the game this session. It's just I'm having a conversation about what it can do and stuff. This is about to recompact again. Grok build has a set percentage setting, so it's 85%. So that's 425k tokens or thereabouts where it'll do a compact. And usually what it does is it takes off a lot of the fluff, and so it kind of has like summaries and maybe important points and stuff. And I'm talking about it actually going and saving the conversation out to disk. It already saves the session data, already has the conversation on disk. That's what Grok build is actually doing, right? It actually saves it. So what I wanted to have it do is I wanted to have it to actually take that, put it in a readable form, a readable chat transcript into a file, and then that way when I go to a new conversation, it's not even just working off of a summary now. Now it's actually working on the actual transcript that I saved, and so that would save a lot of time having to re-explain stuff. And then it also suggested doing having it create like a summary. Yeah, my bitrate's going all weird, so maybe I'll be cutting out. I don't know. But basically, it will also at the same time or one after the other, I don't know. It will create another file, which is a summary file, which has pointers to the full transcript, so that it can reference it. So then it can read the summary file, and then whenever it needs to go into my actual conversation, it can go back into the conversation. And so I'm right at the point I'm at almost 400k tokens, and so I have to make a decision about how I want to do this. Do I want it? Do I want to let it compact like normal and not worry about it? Do I want to have it saved now and then start a new conversation? I'm actually thinking about that. I'm just gonna finish phase one as is. I'm gonna have let it auto compact and not worry about not saving every nuance of the conversation. But in future phases, I think I'm going to do this new process. I'm basically going to wait until I'm almost at the top percentage, and in my case, it might be 495, 490, 495, somewhere in there. And then what I'm going to tell it to do is I'm going to tell it to save the session, the whole basically the whole conversation to a file, to a readable script transcript. Create the summary with the pointers to the transcript file, and then I will start a new conversation, basically a new grok build session, and I will tell it to kind of go over that. Okay. Okay. You're pointing at the right split again. One refinement on without any tokens. What can be free? No LLM tokens. Apps unclocked runs while terminals close. Two, that's just the OS. Yes. Status bar. Yes. Telemetry the client already sends for ops may exist separate from your story. Often, yes, not your context window. Slash command like show date handled entirely by the TUI no model round trip. Yes, pure local UI. Host injects nothing into the model. Yes. So real-time clock in the app doesn't need to tick inside the LLM at all. What still costs tokens if the model's involved. If flow is Tuesday, then your message, tool call, plus resolve the spoken reply, I'll go through the normal completion path. If instead the build app handles what's the date as a built-in, like a status widget or a local slash command that never hits the model, then zero model tokens, the app just prints the OS time. You're welcome back next day example, 2 ways. Host only. No tokens for the fact of knowing. App sees last activity yesterday, shows a banner or a can line. Last session yesterday. Model never involved. Model says something warm. Something has to put last seen today's date into that. Yeah, I mean, I get that. Small cost once per open, not 24-hour stream of clock updates. Model doesn't keep a process running overnight with a live clock. The app does, or just reads. Yeah, I'm just saying. I'm trying to tell it that it doesn't have to send it to the model. It sends it to the server though. There's got to be real time data that sends to the server so that it can process this up. And in fact, it could bypass if you're talking about stuff that's related to your context window or whatever. Um, it can have a separate thing where it kind of bypasses the main model. In other words, if it still has to do it for natural language processing, even if it's just giving you a warm greeting after observing the date and the time, or observing how long you've been gone. They should have like a split thing. Like the server should have like two programs. It'd be like two programs, so to speak. You have your main your main thing that runs the model, right? Um, and then you have the other separate program that maybe runs a smaller model, so to speak. I mean, I'm not trying to say technically. Always host tracks time when you ask date. Well, yes and no. I'm a little bit more like yeah, mental model. Yeah, mm, I'm sort of thinking like that. The context window always shows in terminal here, but in order for you to run something like compact, for instance, um, it still has to send that to the server. Actually, maybe it doesn't. Maybe it runs it in the program directly. So that's what it's trying to tell me. Compact doesn't do that. It's watching the window. And I think compact runs locally when the number is at that percentage, D5 default. But I'm mostly talking about actually sending that data back to the server. Doesn't mean the LLM has to process it at all. Although there might be a little bit if it has to send me a warm greeting or whatever. I'm saying that there should be something on the server side that takes that real time data and uses it to work with your processing. Also, the app might send telemetry or session metadata for products that can write along without being fed into the model as chat. Different pipe from here's the prompt. Only if something needs a model generated response, e.g., a warm greeting or me deciding to pause work. When you pay a small occasional prompt completion cost, not a continuous stream of clock ticks. So stats and compact policy hosts, warm words, optional. Tiny model use. You're aligned with how it should be split. Yeah. Also, um, you could have a separate SLM small language model that essentially handles that stuff. And then the op integrates that into the conversation when I see it. Anyway, I guess I just went off on a tangent again. That's my ADD or ADHD. So the main thing is how in the future I want to handle saving cat transcripts so you have access to the full previous cat. Okay. And find an SLM or plain host logic for greeting status is a real pattern, small side brain for Chrome, big model for the real work. I don't know if it's talking about Chrome as in the Chrome browser or if it's talking about it as you know like Chrome like Chrome you put on the car, something that's meant to be flashy and look cool. Anyways, let me check here. That's fine. Let me check Twitch. That's fine. Uh, this I wasn't even monitoring. Rumble. Of course, there's nobody in here, so that doesn't really matter. When I export, read this rock section JSON and write a readable file in the project. Yeah, write a short bridge file, summary plus pointers, decision timelines, chapter status, full detail, and point me at the bridge first. I open the full transcript only when we need something specific. That way we have the path to the whole previous chat on disk without carrying 400 play plus K tokens every turn. Okay. Alright. Alright. Time is almost up for this current work session. I'll just say work session when I mean that I've started rock build and then close it. Build, not the actual conversation session. Like what I like session ID I use for a reason. Okay, let it. Come on. Okay. Before I go, could you search through my files, dump pages, and tell me what I've put as a description for the gate. Oh, 81%. It's compacting now. It did it itself. Interesting. It's interesting it did it at 81% instead of 85%, but whatever, it doesn't matter that much. Oh. Yeah. I just used up a big chunk of that. Because I thought I did have some stuff. Maybe it. See, this is why I was talking about actually saving the transcripts. I should have been doing that at the beginning because some of the stuff that I came up with, I don't have it anymore because I never wrote it down or whatever. You never wrote a formal encyclopedia word promulgate. You have its functional plot language plus one design note that's the closest thing to a definition. To indicate how it works. Maybe the heroes find a way to get the plans. Table size blueprints on the gate. Assembled and prepped. No narrative pages, no size, shape of materials, how it looks. Each multi-portal machine. That's weird. Okay, that's weird. I made at least one drawing, and I'm sure I discussed it in Grok or Chat GPT or Gemini / notebook on. That means I have to start surfing through each conversation, and that might take a while. Max made a device that allows him to open a portal without Quicksilver. However, the Omni Gate needs a ton of power, and so he still needs massive amounts of it. But instead of a person holding onto a piece and intending to go somewhere, he can just tune into the right frequency to go wherever he wants. The Omni Gate, I guess here, Omni Gate. Is a giant spinning orb with several hundred of these devices. When it's turned on, it shoots out energy that opens multiple portals at the same time. That's just from my memory, but I thought for sure I had written something about it somewhere. Well, it's saying that I did find something, so good news. You did write the important part down. You don't need to dig through every grok check. Gemini thread broke core mechanics. That's what's missing is the only spinning orb, hundreds of units packaging once it more lives. Plain text. That text. Around the portal magic scepter theft notes roughly. Well, how come it's not in the? It should be in the ODT file, the dump file. Yeah, hand sketch that eliminate faceted soccer ball like orb on a pedestal with a swirling energy mass above it. You actually wrote mechanics. Each realm and locations in a particular realm have a signature resonant frequency so that when you hold on to a piece of Quicksilver with the intention of going somewhere and saying some words, the Quicksilver aligns your frequency with that of the destination and opens a portal. See, I created this, you know, I know it's kind of weird, right? Magic and stuff. It's not based on any like real magic. It's actually based on my little tiny understanding of science, right? The science of what frequencies and stuff. And really, all I mean by that is, in general, I kind of know how a radio works, right? And I don't even know really how it works. I don't know about carriers, subcarriers, all this stuff. Frequency is how much it cycles through. It sends the electronic information. I don't really know. I'm not like I'm not some electronics guy or some radio frequency guy. But the basic premise is that the portal magic works sort of like radio frequencies, right? It sends out the steel and then it opens a portal, and then when you say magic words, it doesn't really matter what the words are. What matters is your intent, right? So you hold on a piece of Quicksilver, you say I want to go here, and then it opens a portal there, and that's kind of how the whole thing works. So apparently you found it in the text file. It should have been in the dump file, but that's okay, I guess. Max have found a way to open a portal without intention or massive amounts of Quicksilver. Yeah, yeah, well, yeah, without you happen to hold a piece of Quicksilver. Use a little model of the mechanism. Still acceptor. This, of course, is a test run to see the viability of the portal opening device, and later, more explicitly, it turns out to be the actual device that doesn't need Quicksilver. Usually, it's just the intent of the holder of the Quicksilver that opens just a big enough portal for people to step through. The device doesn't need Quicksilver or even the intent. It actually sets the frequency directly via controls. Why he still mines like crazy and why the big machine needs power. He still needs large amounts of Quicksilver to amplify the frequencies required to open multiple large portals simultaneously. In order to do multiple portals big enough for armies, he needs to boost the power of his devices. The machine that needs vastly larger portals and larger numbers of portals needs a boost, so Max still needs the formula for the new refining process. So your memory matches the written lore almost one-to-one for function. The tune, the frequency, instead of the whole QS intent idea is already canon in the notes. What your memory adds, the text never quite says. This package is not written as a single OmniGate definition anywhere where I found. Giant spinning orb, several hundred of the small portal devices mounted making up the sphere. When on, it shoots energy that opens many portals at once. Yeah, and I was kind of picturing the whole. You know when they talk about show like a nuclear device. I got to be careful with the words I say, just because I'm not talking about any real thing. I'm just saying you see that little kind of soccer ball type of deal where it's basically the idea is for fission to happen. Um, you need a vast amount of heat, and so your nuclear core is surrounded by this explosive stuff, this stuff that burns really super hot. To get it up to the temperature, it needs to start splitting atoms. And so I was thinking in my mind, I was going, well, the Omni Gate sort of looks like that. It looks like that ball. It's sort of like a soccer ball, Basically, that has the little hexagonal panels around the whatever plutonium core or whatever it was back in the day. It's probably different now. It's like uranium and whatever. But so the basic of the idea is I want it to look like that. So yeah, 700 small. Okay, that visual is implied by the side view drawing orb energy, but the pros never joins OmniGate. Okay, small device. Yes. You can stop hunting chat logs for physics. The gap is the only that you never fold your visual memory into a single dump ready definition. That information, you said, came from the .txt file, but that was only a copy of the ODT file at a certain point in time. That means the dump file has the exact same information. However, I do probably need to have a description or blurb to put into the dump file so I can refer to it later. Okay. And it's about 1 o'clock, so I hope my session today is up. I guess I didn't really get a lot done, but that's okay. I mean, that happens, so I'm not going to worry about it. Okay, you're right. The plain text file is just a snapshot of the ODT, so the dump already carries that same portal frequency lore. What's missing is one locked OmniGate entry you can paste and refer to later. Here's a dump ready blurb built only for what you already wrote, plus your memory of the machine. Look, drawing plus spinning orb. No new lore bolted on. Okay. Okay, I just copied it. I'm just gonna honestly, you could probably put it inside it. You could probably add that itself probably if it can read ODT files, it could probably write to it. But okay, August 13th, 2026, and what I'm gonna do here is whoa, wait a second. Oh, there we go. What am I doing? What am I talking about? Portal travel normally works because every realm and places within a realm has signature resident frequency. Holding Quicksilver intending a destination, speaking the words makes the Quicksilver align with you with that frequency, so a portal opening is usually only large enough for people to step through. Max has built a portal opening device that skips both intention and personal chunk of Quicksilver. It sets the target frequency directly via controls. It has a small model when you steal the Wizard U Scepter. A hooded figure holds the device, opens a portal into the trophy gate, takes a scepter and closes it. This proves the device works for single small portals. The Omni Gate is a full-scale version, a giant spinning orb studded with several hundred of those devices. When powered up, it dumps energy and can open many large portals at once. Big enough for armies and can be tuned wherever Max wants without someone holding Quicksilver and a willing destination. He still needs massive amounts of Quicksilver not to open one personal portal the old way, but to amplify the frequency so many army-sized gates can run together. That is why Max runs the mines, objections, and the Verdant's refining angle. Built and tested on the Castle North Terrace, plans blueprints exist. Princess steals a copy after the final battle is disassembled and stored. Shorter dump line. If you only want one lighter under name, a giant spinning orb of hundreds of Max's frequency tuned portal devices on the Castle North Terrace opens many army-sized portals at once without personal intent, but still burns a massive Quicksilver to amplify multi-portal power. You want this dropped in a specific dump. Say already, and otherwise you can space either version exists. Okay. That is good. That will work. Thank you. And I will see you on the other side of my break. Okay, so mostly saying to you, I don't know how many people are on the other platforms, but thank you for watching part 1. So thanks, Rook, and I'll be back in about an hour with another stream. And thanks to everyone else who happens to be watching. That isn't me. I can say thanks to me, but I think that would just be self-serving. Anyways, I'll see everybody in an hour.